The NHL seems to be getting past its reputation of being the league where nothing happens, as we have had 6 trades today, 8 trades in the past 2 days, and a total of 10 trades in this week, and that's just before the draft even starts. We are still a day away from the NHL draft, so I'm sure that's going to be ratcheting it up quite soon. And so yeah, if you feel like the NHL has been getting a little hectic as of late, it's not just the bad air getting to you. That is definitely something that has been seen in the past week. We're going to be going over a rapid-fire analysis of the trades that have happened recently, starting all the way back in June 24th, forever ago, between the Avs and the Preds, with Colorado getting Ryan Johanson at 50% retain, and Nashville getting the UFA rights to Alex Galchenyuk. So the Predators probably desperate to get out of, getting some cap relief on the Ryan Johanson contract, and the Avalanche getting a pretty good player, especially at his cap at $8 million. Yeah, it doesn't make much sense for Ryan Johanson, but if you can get him at 50% retained at $4 million, I think that could be a steal depending on what kind of year he has. And if he's not all that good, again, you're only paying $4 million for him. And I guess for Nashville, I guess this is a better option than just buying him out and having that cap hit on the books for a longer time, but I'm definitely going to have to give this trade to the Avalanche on this one, getting a pretty solid player. Even if Galchenyuk has a positive impact on Nashville's roster, I do feel like Johansson at that $4 million number, definitely with more upside there. On that same day, on the 24th, the Coyotes and the Kings got to business, Arizona getting Sean Durzi, and LA getting a 2024 second-round pick. The Coyotes breaking the mold for them. They actually get a good player in exchange for a draft pick. Usually it's the other way around for the Arizona Coyotes. They get a solid young defenseman, and they still have a ton of picks, so that second rounder in 2024, they probably won't miss it all that much. And for the Kings, I don't think this is a disastrous move for Los Angeles or anything. They definitely have enough NHL quality defensemen already on their lineup, and they do have some good prospects coming up in that sense. But however, I'm going to give this trade the slight edge to the Coyotes here. I like what they did. They got a pretty good young defenseman. This team does need players to play for them, and they did so at, even though a second rounder isn't anything to sneeze at, for them it's a relatively low cost because they have second rounders everywhere on their draft board. And then yesterday, we have the Bruins and the Blackhawks making a trade. Chicago getting Taylor Hall and the rights to Nick Foligno, who they then signed to a 1-year, $4 million deal. And Boston getting the signing rights to Ian Mitchell and Alec Regula. My reaction to this is that, this is a trade where Boston needed some cap relief and Chicago needs to reach the cap floor. So in that way, it makes sense for both of these teams to get this deal done. However, I do like what Chicago got in this trade a little more than what Boston did, so I will put the W in Chicago's column for this one. They do get some legitimate NHL talent on their team to support Bedard with. Taylor Hall probably playing on Bedard's wing. I don't know if Nick Foligno plays on Bedard's line or not, but he certainly is a good NHL veteran presence to have, a locker room leader. He was the captain of the Blue Jackets for a long time, so he definitely knows how to behave in the NHL, obviously. So that's a guy that the younger players for Chicago can look up to on the ice, and he can also play the role of protector. He's not afraid to drop the gloves if things go haywire, and Foligno was having a bit of a bounce back season in Boston before injury unfortunately took away the back half of that season. But I like what Chicago did. Obviously, for Boston, we'll see if this works out with their re-signings, but I feel like this was more of a way to create some cap space for themselves than anything. Then you have the Bruins and the Devils. So Boston not done yesterday. They get the rights to Riley Walsh, and the Devils get the rights to Shane Bowers. I have no idea about any of these guys. They seem to be mostly in the AHL last season, so I can't really say who wins and loses on this trade, but I guess we'll see how it works out for that one. Just want to cover all of the trades. And then we start off today with the Flyers and the Blues getting a trade done. St. Louis getting Kevin Hayes at 50% retained, and the Flyers getting a 2024 6th-round pick. Now, this was rumored to have a lot more pieces involved in this trade, but Torrey Krug enforced his no trade clause. He did not want to go to Philly, and I don't really blame him. Not only are they starting in a rebuild, but they do have one of the more notorious hard-ass coaches in John Tortorella to play for. I know plenty of players love playing for Torts, but maybe Torrey Krug doesn't want to, or again, it could just be that Torrey Krug wants to play on competitive teams. And you can say what you want about the Blues right now, but the Flyers are definitely not a competitive team. They are definitely, building for the future, aka probably tanking this year. I think this trade is a big win for the Blues. I feel like Kevin Hayes can be an effective player for half of his cap hit that he has, and they only gave up a 6th round pick to get him. So yeah, that is a massive win for St. Louis. Danny Briere must have been really desperate to get that Kevin Hayes contract at least out of the organization, even with the retention on the cap. And then also today we have the Avs and the Canadiens making a deal. Montreal getting Alex Newhook, and Colorado getting the rights to Gianni Fairbrother, a 3rd round pick prospect, plus the 31st and 37th picks of this draft. I feel like Alex Newhook, a guy with a lot of potential who probably did need a change of scenery. He did manage to get 30 points in Colorado's bottom 6 this season, so he can be an effective bottom 6 player, but I do feel like Montreal probably has bigger things set for him, especially with Montreal. They weren't in the running for PLD at the time, and I'll get to him later. And the Avalanche getting a prospect and 2 picks. This one is tough to call as far as who won and lost. I feel like maybe if this was a different video, I would say let's wait and see. But if you had a gun to my head and had to pick one now, I would actually say Montreal probably wins this due to just the fact that we know that Alex Newhook is at the very least a decent bottom 6 piece. And if he taps into that potential, he can become a lot more than that. And while the Avs do get a good bit of picks from him and Fairbrother as a prospect, we have no idea what these guys are going to be. Even in this loaded draft, I feel like a late 1st and early 2nd round pick probably won't impact that organization for a couple years anyway. So I would say for right now, I'd give the edge to Montreal on this trade. Then we get the big one today, or at least one of the big ones, in the Kings and the Jets, with the Los Angeles Kings getting Pierre-Luc Dubois, Winnipeg getting the RFA rights to Gabriel Velarde and Rasmus Kupari. They get Alex Iafallo as well, and a 2024 2nd-round pick, which is a pick that belongs technically to Montreal, which I think is kind of funny. So Pierre-Luc Dubois signing an 8-year, $8.5 million per year cap hit deal. That's pretty pricey for Pierre-Luc Dubois and what he's done so far, and the Jets definitely got a lot in return for him. Now, we have seen flashes of PLD playing like that, like an $8.5 million per year center. We've seen that in flashes. He's yet to put that together on a consistent basis, especially with some of the issues he's had with the organizations that he's played for. I don't know if we're going to see the same discontentment from PLD. If he really doesn't want to be in Los Angeles, why would he sign an 8-year deal there? I would understand some of the concern if maybe he signed a bit of a shorter term deal, but I do feel like the fact that he signed an 8-year deal does signal that maybe he does legitimately want to stick around in LA for long term. And if that's the case, then we probably won't hear about him being unhappy or his play dipping off because he's fed up with his situation. Although if this becomes a thing again, where in a couple years we start to hear rumblings of PLD wanting to go somewhere else, then we can have those conversations. But I was personally wrong when I said I thought his contract drama would end with a long-term deal in Montreal maybe next offseason. But a long-term deal with the Kings this year, definitely a bit out of left field for me before the reporting came out. But this is, for as far as the trade goes, I would give this as a win to the Jets. They get a good bit for Pierre-Luc Dubois when it was thought that they didn't really have a whole lot of leverage. I guess everybody who thought that, myself included, now is kind of sitting with egg on my face. But honestly, I don't care because I actually kind of felt bad for Winnipeg in their situation. But now I don't feel bad for Winnipeg in this at all. They definitely got a lot to work with here, and they didn't overpay for Pierre-Luc Dubois. Again, Pierre-Luc Dubois, he's going to have to play up into that contract. Right now, that contract is an overpay, but it's one that he can play into. And then the trade after really stole the thunder from the PLD trade. The Ducks and the Sharks, with Anaheim getting Andrew Agazino and San Jose getting Andre Suster. I hope I pronounced those names correctly. I probably butchered them. Both of these veteran guys who are usually playing in the AHL. So this is another trade where I have no idea who ends up better for this one, but I guess that's a trade that happens. But the Sharks weren't done. They make a trade today with the New Jersey Devils. San Jose getting the RFA rights to Mackenzie Blackwood, and the Devils getting the 164th overall pick in this draft, which is a 6th rounder. So Mackenzie Blackwood, he's had his ups and downs with New Jersey. However, he has shown that he's able to play very well for consistent stretches. It just so happens that he didn't do that all the time. And with New Jersey, they had both Vanacek and Akira Schmid under contract. Akira Schmid having a very good showing in the playoffs. So it would make sense if you can get something for Mackenzie Blackwood and you don't plan on re-signing him, then you might as well do it. Although I will give the Sharks the win, since I think a 6th round pick isn't too much to give up for a potentially pretty good starting goaltender, but I don't think the Devils lost out on too much either. I'll just give the edge to the Sharks on this trade. And then, good thing I was about to record this video when this trade came down. The Devils and the Flames, the New Jersey Devils getting Tyler Toffoli, and Calgary getting the RFA rights to Yegor Sharangovich. I probably butchered that name as well. And the 80th overall pick, which is a 3rd rounder. Now, for me, I want to tie this back to the Blue Jackets because I'm a Blue Jackets fan. That 80th overall pick was given to the Devils in the Damon Severson deal, so there's your Blue Jackets obligatory mention for the video. The Devils getting a very, very, really good player in Tyler Toffoli. I mean, Yegor, you probably don't want to trade him, but if you can land Tyler Toffoli, then you do that in a heartbeat, and I would say this is undoubtedly a win for the New Jersey Devils, with the Flames fire sale maybe starting a little earlier than expected. But yeah, it's been insane in the NHL these past couple of days, especially today, and it's probably going to get even wilder once the draft comes, not only with, figuring out who is going to go where in the draft, but the trades that come with it, and maybe we'll see even more big name splashes. Who knows? So thank you all for watching this video. If you did make it this far into it, I will see you at the next one.